Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. Today we have a special webinar where we are discussing about investing in a collective investment scheme in Rwanda's capital market. And we normally host this kind of webinars on a monthly basis. And thank you for always responding to our invitations. This morning, we have expert in this area of CIS. And I know all of you, you have a very busy schedule. And thank you so much for joining us. On the program was shared almost 2 weeks ago, and we sent you a reminder yesterday and this morning. We have amazing speakers on the program. First, we have Mrs. Agnes NYIRANKERA. She's the CEO at BCP Investment Managers Limited. Agnes will share an overview of CIS in Rwanda. Then next on the program, we shall have Mr. Jonathan GATERA. He's the CEO of Rwanda National Investment Trust. And we have also Mr. Siongo KISOSO, the Managing Director of BK Capital. They will share more about the process of investing in the collective investment schemes in Rwanda. Then we shall have a session for Q&A where you might engage with our amazing speakers this morning. Also, we shall have our who will share the closing remarks. So without further ado, let me invite Agnes. But before inviting her to share more about the overview of the CIS in Rwanda's capital market, let me share with you the short bio of Agnes NYIRANKERA. Agnes NYIRANKERA is a professional with 20 years of experience. Also, she holds international business from branded Boston, USA. She is currently market and fund management company, a position she has since 2018. Without further ado, then welcome Agnes. Agnes, welcome. Agnes,
Hi.
Hi, you can hear you, Agnes.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for introducing me. Can you please share the screen?
Sorry, guys, can you mute, please? Can you mute your mic?
We can hear a lot of noises. Magnifique, start from the first page. Thank you very much. I'm going to carry along the overview of collective investment scheme in Rwanda. Next.
We can hear some background noise. I think people can mute.
We will be discussing about the definition. We'll be discussing about the definition and the value proposition to investors, the regulatory framework, collective investments that are easy to implement in Rwanda, management of collective investment scheme. We're going to talk about the risk the banks and insurance company in managing the CIS. We will be talking about who is going to be the one to manage CIS, the contribution to employment and decent job in Rwanda, and how we can attract foreign and local investment to the CIS in Rwanda. Next. I guess you've run fast. Magnifique. Again, up, up, up. Let's go to the introduction. And what is collective investment scheme? Actually, they are pooled investment vehicle where investors contribute to the to be managed collectively by professional fund managers. This scheme provides individual and institutions access to diversified portfolio with professional management, with a lot of risk mitigation and cost efficiency. So in Rwanda, the regulation and promotion of CIS are actually crucial for the capital market development and financial inclusion. Next. So what are the benefits that investors find in CIS? They are able to diversify their portfolio. The funds are really managed professionally, and affordability because you can be able to get in at a very small fund. Liquidity, anytime you can get in and get out. There are those kind of flexibility depending on product. Regulatory oversight. So the regulatory part of it ensures the transparency, security, and investment guidelines so that investors are secured. Next. So let's discuss in brief a little bit of regulatory framework. The Capital Market Authority of Rwanda regulates CIS under the Capital Market Law number 11, 2011. And it has a lot of guidelines that support this. The regulatory framework ensures that investors are protected, there's transparency, there's accountability, and that make sure that people get trusted while managing such. The Rwanda Stock Exchange plays a complementary role by facilitating listed investment funds and promoting market awareness. So the key regulatory regulations that are governing the CIS is the Capital Market Law, regulations on collective investment scheme, the fund manager licensing requirement, the disclosure and reporting standards. Next. So the collective investments that are in Rwanda and easy to manage so far, they are mutual funds, ETF, pension and provident funds, real estate investment, private equity and venture capital funds, the infrastructure funds, hedge funds. We do have other type of scheme, but gradually one could go explaining them in the next session again. So let's discuss about the management of collective investment scheme. Actually, while the CIS are traditionally managed by professional fund manager, they can also be managed by banks. They can be managed by insurance companies, pension funds, investment companies, and asset managers. Next. But there are risks associated with the banks and insurance companies managing CIS. There is market risk. We find exposure to market fluctuation, which can affect the value of investment and return. The liquidity risk, the regulatory risk as well, because there will be a lot of compliance to follow. The operational risk. Actually, managing CIS requires expertise and not mixing with a lot of things. Mismanagement can lead as well. Should there be any mismanagement, it can lead to financial losses and reputation damages. There is conflict of interest as well. Banks and insurance companies may have competing priorities that could influence investment decision, potentially impacting investors' portfolio. Next. So finally, who should manage the CIS? Given the complexity of regulatory requirement of CIS, fund managers should be the primary entities managing CIS. These professionals specialize in investment strategies, risk assessment, and portfolio management, ensuring investors receive optimal return while maintaining regulatory compliance. But banks and insurance companies can collaborate with licensed fund managers to offer CIS products to their clients while maintaining a clear separation between deposit taking, insurance underwriting, and investment management. Next. No, I guess you jumped something. So what is the contribution to employment and decent job in Rwanda? The CIS industry can contribute to create decent jobs in Rwanda in various ways. Fund management firm can employ investment analysts, portfolio managers, compliance officers, research experts, and others. The financial advisory can generate as well a lot of jobs, helping clients to informed investment decisions. We also have the technology aspect and fintech that can be able to give employment. We do have as well real estate and infrastructure development that can create job and decent job indeed. We do have support services which could range from legal, compliance, accounting, call centers, and others that will come and support the business. Next. 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 So in conclusion, the Rwanda Collective Investment Scheme market is a crucial component of the country financial sector, offering a diversified investment opportunity and professional fund management. Should they leverage on this? The regulatory improvements, increasing investors' awareness, and pushing institution participation, Rwanda will actually enhance the CIS market to drive economic development, create employment, and attract both local and foreign investors. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Agnes, for sharing the overview. So the next speaker will be Mr. Jonathan GATERA. Jonathan GATERA is the CEO of Rwanda National Investment Trust. Short bio of Jonathan GATERA. Jonathan GATERA is currently the CEO of Rwanda National Investment Trust Limited, an investment management company
Okay,
to promote the culture of savings. Welcome, Mr. Jonathan.
Someone is speaking. Can we? Magnifique. Yeah, someone is speaking.
Can we not mute them from our end? Like from what
I
is the...
think Magnifique should be able to.
Thank you, it's done. Some of our participants were muted. Let's welcome CEO Jonathan GATERA so that he can share with us the process of investing in the CIS, especially in NIT Terambere Fund. Welcome, CEO.
We can't hear anything.
Do you maybe think the CEO is muted? I recommend admin to touch base and talk to the CEO. Thank you.
So as we are waiting for Mr. Jonathan GATERA to join us, let's welcome the next speaker, Mr. Siongo KISOSO, who is the Managing Director at BK Capital. So Mr. Siongo is the MD at BK Capital, where he oversees the key commercial of the business, brokerage, fund management, and corporate finance and advisory. He's a global finance and investment professional with extensive experience in the corporate finance and management consulting. Mr. Siongo, welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon if you're in other jurisdictions. So I was asked to speak to one particular topic, and that's the future of collective investment schemes in Rwanda and the comparison to other investment options. I do not have a presentation like my colleague Agnes, but I hope you'll be able to follow the discussion and that this will be useful. So when I got asked to present, I had two reflections, and I'll use those to really unpack what I think the future of investment schemes will be and could be in Rwanda. The first reflection was around market research that we conducted late last year. So we set up. Hello? We set up our first CIS, that's BK Capital, just over 4 years ago. That was in 2020. And since then, we've had relatively good success. We have close to 2,000 unit trust holders that have subscribed to our unit trust, which is called Aguka. And we've been able to grow it to the tune of 24 billion. That's our AUM at the end of January. But when we look at it from the size of our fund vis-a-vis the size of the economy, I think it's still relatively small. And then in the same goes for the industry. So we did some research last year, and the top two barriers to accessing unit trusts or collective investment schemes were a lack of information and alternative investments. So I think really to change the trajectory, these are two critical things that need to be looked at. So in terms of lack of information, how can this be tackled? It's really a mandate for many of the intermediaries and regulators. But in terms of the future, I think there have to be a lot more intermediaries actually performing the act of intermediation of these funds. So they need to be new professions such as financial advisors who advise clients on various investments and collaborate with fund managers and stockbrokers to reach all parts of the country. I think fintechs also play a critical role in creating awareness and distribution. There's a sandbox at the moment which I believe holds a lot of potential. We're currently working with a few of the participants and looking at their offering. I think it will create a lot of awareness of these CIS products and make it much easier to distribute. And then lastly, in terms of intermediation, there is need, and I think that in the future, banks need to distribute these products. And if you look at markets that could be the same in terms of GDP per capita, but have sort of leapfrogged and have a wide adoption of CIS products, a lot of the success has been due to banks actually offering wealth management services and acting as channels for customers to access this. Still around the point of information and the need to really have clients aware of these products. I think in terms of the kind of content that's developed, some of it needs to change and become a lot more accessible to the general public. And I think we will see changes in this going forward to improve the information around services. So to the second point, in terms of barriers to usage of CIS products and potential solutions around them, the second thing we found was potential clients tend to invest in alternative investments, namely land and real estate, for those who are already investing. So I think looking down the road, this could be potential for REITs. There is a framework both at the regulatory level and then at the exchange in terms of the rules to have these real estate vehicles within CIS. And REITs hold a lot of potential for investors and investees. Some of them have already been mentioned by Agnes, but I see a future where the demand for real estate, the demand for these sort of investments, could be channeled or could, utilize the REIT framework. And also looking at alternative, the appetite for alternative investments, and then how this could shape CIS. Besides REITs, I see a world where in the future there could be, locked in vehicles or locked in funds where the money pooled is locked in for a long period of time. And these are channeled to private debt, private equity, and these funds made more accessible to the public, given there is a willingness to forgo yield, to forgo liquidity for more returns, and I think looking at some of these products could address this sort of desire to move more towards alternative investments. So I think first reflection was really driven by the research we found and the two challenges of lack of information and the desire for alternative investments, and seeing how CISs can address these barriers. I think the next reflection is just really trends that are happening. So across mutual funds, and I think this, we'll see these in Rwanda as well, is adoption of technology. There are already a number of fintechs in the sandbox. A number of them will come to market in the near future, and they'll offer users different ways and different benefits of accessing CIS, and this will, I truly believe, increase adoption. Beyond this, for asset managers, there are other benefits that could come from adoption, and we will begin to see. So the use of AI for customer service, you could have automated chat boxes, you could automate your asset allocation, and many things that are very human capital intensive. So in terms of the impact of technology, I believe this will be increasingly so in the future. I think another top trend is really pulling, having CISs in new asset classes. So currently we look at the CISs in the market, they're predominantly fixed income. So in the near future, and just a lot like what we're seeing in other parts of the world, there will be pooling of assets into new assets. There'll be pooling of money into new asset classes. So that could be, listed equity, private equity, real estate in the form of REITs. If it's fixed income, maybe things more vehicles more focused towards, corporate bonds that do offer higher yield, but of course at a higher risk. So I think new asset classes are things that we will see more with CISs going forward. And then I think the last one in terms of trends we're seeing globally that will definitely, begin to show face in the market here is the move towards ETFs. Due to liquidity and lower cost. Currently there are none, but there are regulations that support. There's a regulatory framework that supports this. So in the future, I do believe we'll have a lot more ETFs, which offer investors a route for passive investment at a much lower cost and more liquidity. So in terms of the future of CIS, those are some reflections, and happy to take Q&A in terms of the comparison to other investment options, which was one of the speaking points. Agnes covered this in quite some detail in terms of the advantages and how CISs are differentiated. Thank you, and welcome questions after Jonathan presents.
Thank you so much, Siongo, for your insights. Let's see whether Mr. Jonathan was able to join. CEO Jonathan, do you hear us?
Hello.
Welcome, CEO.
Do you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Sorry, my apologies. The computer I was using was rejecting my connection. I don't know why. You could not hear me. So good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me correctly. I'm called Jonathan. and the CEO of Rwanda National Investment Trust. Maybe for the sake of our listeners or those who are following us for the first time, Rwanda National Investment Trust is a company, an investment management company owned by the government of Rwanda. It was established in 2016, and the main mission why it was established was to play a pivotal role in entrenching the culture of saving in Rwanda.
Jonathan, we have lost you, eh?
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, so the host had unmuted me, so sorry. Now, I was saying that Rwanda National Investment Trust is a fund management company which was established for two main reasons: to drive the culture of saving among Rwandans, because as we aim at Vision 2050, where the country needs to be having at least a status of high-income country, it needs to increase one of the main factors, the savings ratio. Our savings rate is still very low, and so Rwanda, as the country, took initiative to ensure that at least the culture of saving is entrenched in our mindset. So it was established to mainly launch the first collective investment scheme, which was as a unit trust, which was launched in 2016. So the first CIS, which was launched by then, was called Iterambere Fund, of which is managed by the company, Rwanda National Investment Trust. But also we are supposed to launch other schemes, CIS schemes, in order to enable many people to participate. So since then, we have seen a lot of other collective investment schemes from private sector coming up, even the one which you have just mentioned, my colleague from Capital, the BK Capital. So we are having at least more players on the market, and we thank the CMA Capital Market Authority, because it has put in place some regulatory framework that allows us market players to play our role. Now, RNITE, or Iterambere Fund, as we speak today, we have grown from the initial stage of 2017, 2018 was around 3 billion. Currently, we are over 45 billion asset under management. And we have got quite a good number of investors. Unit holders, individual unit holders are now over 35,000. These are unit holders with personalized accounts. But we have got others, of course, who are in different groups we called in Kinyarwanda Bimina. We have quite actually the majority, many of them are in these groups. Ibimina are those unregulated groups, but we collect their savings and we manage the funds for them. We also manage other private pension schemes. Of course, these were licensed by the central bank. But maybe let me come back to the collective investment, the unit trust we manage. The eligibility for one to be able to invest or to buy units in Iterambere Fund All Rwandans, even international investors, are allowed to invest. Both public, even institutions are allowed. Of course, there is no charge as you open account with us. You can invest lump sum, or you can do it regularly, just on a monthly basis for those who are employed. So the unit trust, the one unit was valued at 100 francs, and the minimum you could invest at the initial investment was 2,000 francs. That means 20 units. But it is, as far as you can go, it is unlimited. Now, we mainly invest these collected funds. We invest them in mainly fixed income, but we do have other asset classes. And we are very active on the secondary market. I think my colleague, the CEO of Rwanda Stock Exchange, can testify this. We are very active on the secondary market by buying or selling the securities. So this scheme has enabled many people to access funds, and not only access funds, because we do have term deposits with different banks. We buy bonds, corporate bonds, even public bonds. And so we have been able to invest even in some of the investors who came who are listed, came to the Rwanda Stock Exchange, who have been active in the past 3 years mainly. But going forward, we were trying to initiate more schemes that will enable many Rwandans to join, especially the young people. And so I would say briefly that investing through collective investing scheme is one of the easiest way to invest. Both you can when you are still even young people, especially we encourage young people by just investing. You just need to open an account with us. If you have an ID, that is enough. Your national ID is the main document we require. Then for the children who have not yet attained the age of getting the national ID, they use their parents' IDs. And the moment you can, when you open an account, you can invest, you can buy units anytime you wish. And so far we have made it much easier for people to register. You use the *589 and you can register. You need to have your ID with you, but through that short code, *589, you can even check on your balance. So it is easy to access. You can use your login initials, and then you check on how your units are valued. The value of our units, it changes on daily basis. The net asset value is calculated at the end of the day. And so the net asset value is the one which determines how your units have been faring. Now, as I mentioned, at the start of the first initial, when it was first initiated, the value of the asset was 100 francs. Currently, the net asset value has reached 238. That means at least somebody who invested the initial 100 francs, the value of that 100 francs is now 238. The annualized return on annual basis, it has been above 11% for the last 4 years. The unaudited financials for 2024 indicate that the annualized return for 2024 was 11.78%. And this is a net of all charges. And as you know, the investment through the CIO law allows, it does not, it exempts the payment or your tax on income. So we invite all people who want to really make savings their culture, to make it is very easy, and the return on investment is very good. And those of you who need really more information, you can reach us. We have our offices in the center here, not far from BK. We are on the same street actually. We are in the former Cogebanque office, which has been acquired by Equity on floor 6. And so if you are in town, please, you can pass by, and then you have more information. And so we encourage people to have that culture of saving. If you can save just 2,000 francs, you can participate on the capital market. And we encourage really people to have that culture of saving. And I'm happy that my colleagues who have presented before have also indicated the importance of saving. This does not need a more emphasis, but what I can tell you is that, especially young people, please get to know that our future lies in how we save for it today. So thank you, CMA, thank you everyone. Maybe I can pause for now and allow time for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, CEO Jonathan, for your insight. As you are still here, we have a few questions in the chat box. We have received some questions from the CEO of CMA, especially on the liquidity you have in your funds. Would appreciate if you could address that question. Thank you, Jonathan.
The liquidity we have in our fund?
Yes.
If I got your question clearly. Hello?
Yes, CEO.
Yes, I said that the asset under management currently is 43 billion. 43 billion, this the asset under management for Iterambere Fund. But as maybe I did not mention that this fund is flexible, free entry, free exit. So we have got people who request for repurchase or who take out their money on a weekly basis. So this last year, 2024, many people actually came to repurchase. That's why even we are very active on the secondary market. 18 billion were repurchased. That means this money went into the economy. Majority of the people who requested funds from who sold their units were actually people going for further investment, and we normally see them bringing back the money after doing their businesses. So 18 billion went into the economy, but still, as I mentioned, currently we are 43 plus billion under management. But also, as I mentioned, we do manage different other schemes, private pension schemes. This 43 does not include those private pension schemes. The total of private pension scheme we manage separately, it's over 70 billion. So that implies that all the funds we manage is actually above 100 billion. That is the one we usually trade on the market. Much of it is in fixed income, but a big chunk of it, we do it, have it in different commercial banks, other financial institutions, but also we are very active, as I mentioned, on the Rwanda Stock Exchange. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Theo. As you touched base on the Rwanda Stock Exchange, we have received a question on our social media whether Iterambere Fund might list on the local stock exchange.
Okay, good. That's a good question. Actually, we have been trying to do the listing, and I think the person, I can suspect the person who wrote that question. We are envisaging a listing on the stock exchange, not for trading for the start, but at least for visibility, for people who want to invest with us, to see the trend, especially on what is happening on our net asset value, which is done on daily basis. So very soon we'll be listing for visibility, but also as we go ahead with improving on our system, also for trading purpose. Thank you.
Thank you so much, CEO. We are looking forward for that to be a very great milestone. Let's also invite Mr. Siongo, if also I can touch base on some of the questions in the chat box, especially on the liquidity and on some of the security measures in place.
Okay, thank you, Magnifique. There are a number of questions in the chat box. Maybe we start from the very top, because I get the sense that there's some that have been overseen. Like I see Godfrey had asked a question, so maybe you can facilitate that, but I'll answer your first question. In terms of liquidity, Aguka is a fixed income only unit trust. In terms of liquidity, those we invest solely in liquid assets. So we look at bank deposits, T-bills, government bonds, corporate bonds, most of which are liquid. In terms of the liquidity, we offer investors. So it's a highly liquid fund. So for investors wishing, there's no cost in and out. For investors that want to withdraw less than 100 million, we have an SLA of 2 days. So in terms of access to funds, flexibility, I think that's one area we differentiate ourselves in the market. And for investors looking to who have more than 100 million and wish to withdraw, the timeline there is 1 month, but we can still do this within the 48 hours. However, there's a redemption fee of 1%. In terms of, in terms of security, that was asked. I think, that I'll speak to it. But the regulation, particularly the updated one that was submitted for review, not for review, but for comments from all intermediaries and stakeholders, will really reinforce this. But in terms of protecting investors, the governance framework of CISs, ensures that there are checks and balances. So the fund manager is guided by a prospectus, which is approved by the Capital Market Authority, and really, guides how investments will be made. The assets themselves are kept in safekeeping by the custodian. So there's also, there's a double check there on the reporting and the constitution of all assets. There's oversight as well by the trustee that is key for a number of strategic decisions with regards to the fund. And then there's a robust framework. There's a robust regulation with a number of topics around asset allocation, concentration, etc. Basis of valuation, which are there to ensure that reporting is consistent and funds are managed and kept in a way that will protect investors, and all of this is overseen by the regulators. So I think in terms of protection for investors, that's what I can speak to. And then lastly, all the funds undergo an external audit every year, and usually, at the request, fund managers can make this information available. In terms of the questions, the other questions, maybe Magnifique, you can guide us and just share who you want to answer what between Jonathan, myself, and Agnes. Thanks.
Thank you so much, MD Siongo. Especially for the questions you have addressed almost what we received under the chat box. So we received a question from Ikwechuku and Godfrey. So in the interest of time, because we wish the conversation should continue on our social media platforms, and in the interest of time, let's welcome the CEO of Capital Market Authority, Mr. Thapelo TSHEOLE. His short bio, Mr. Thapelo TSHEOLE is the CEO at the Capital Market Authority with a distinguished career spanning over 24 years in the financial markets. Before joining CMA Rwanda, Mr. TSHEOLE served as the CEO of the Botswana Stock Exchange for 8 years and worked at the Financial Market Department at the Central Bank of Botswana. Welcome, CEO.
Thank you. I wanted to give Celestine maybe 2 minutes to say something if he's still online before I come in. Celestine?
Oh, thank you, CEO. I think, the speakers have spoken very well. They have given a full perspective and overview of the CIS in Rwanda, the status and the progress. But mine is to encourage them and the audience to keep pushing, to have more CIS created, more products coming into the market, looking to create more funds. I think that's where the gist of the matter is. And for us, and together with them, we should be pushing the general public through technology and our social media and all the platforms we have to push more retail investors actually to join through CISs, not really necessarily directly into the market, because quite often is the most efficient way of investing in the markets for retail investors, especially the small ones. The last one is the other question of the visibility through the market lenses. We exchange traded funds or exchange listed funds. They are very important for visibility purposes. People get to know about them and so on. I would even challenge a Aguka fund to also consider listing the Aguka fund for visibility purposes, because it adds a needle. It moves the needle. It moves the needle when you do that, and the general public can see, and we are part of the marketing of what both funds are doing. But you've done a good job. Thank you, CEO. Thank you.
Thank you, Celestine. Celestine is CEO of Rwanda Stock Exchange. Yeah, I think you are spot on in terms of the big opportunities that are existing in the market to create other CIUs and also CIUs that are based on a number of products in the market, and therefore I think everyone on the call, and especially the two CIU issuers, I think you need to look at expanding into other products in order to be much more innovative. And also, I think there's a question of technology that comes up. That comes up a lot in terms of what is actually needed. I think you can get in touch with the CMA team, but I think the issue of technology is quite very important in the value chain of the financial system because it is an enabler. It will enable people to easily invest in the unit trust, and this is where I think a lot of you also comes in. It's not necessarily the CMA and the Rwanda Stock Exchange. We can only provide the regulations and the platforms, but in terms of innovation, in terms of coming up with more funds, I think it's a good thing. The reason why we chose the CIU topic is mainly because we know it's actually an easier access to unsophisticated investors to get to the market. But I think we will continue to work with other players in the market to try to expand the scope and the landscape of the products that are either at the stock exchange or products that are in the market in terms of being them available to the investors. It's good that I think we now know that there's a great potential to diversify and deepen the CIU market in Rwanda, because you can see that the two funds, although they seem they hold significant assets, but I think in terms of more assets, there's still a lot to be done. And as CMA level, we have actually even issued 3 regulations now that we have revised. We're going to be issuing them, I think, by mid this year. We have finalized their approvals. It's only the issue of translation that is left in order to broaden the scope of the CIU in the market, and we'll continue to do that. And let me take this opportunity to thank the speakers, Agnes, to thank Jonathan, and to thank Siongo for the presentation. I think Agnes, thanks for the slides. We'll show them. I'll employ Siongo and Jonathan publicly to please submit about 3 or 4 slides about the CIUs that you manage or in your portfolio, so that we can also share with the audience. I think it's very important for us to share information. So if we can have the slides, if you haven't prepared them, I think just prepare 4 to 5 slides on our CIU, so that we can share them with the members of the public through our platforms, so that we can actually get more people coming to the market. And also thank you, Celestine, for the working together between CMA and Rwanda Stock Exchange in bringing this together. We continue to work so hard together to really push for the development of the market. And thank you to, and lastly, and most importantly, to the audience. And to have more than 120 people attending, I think it's a good thing for us as CMA. We'll still continue to bring a lot of education to the market. Please invite more people to join us. We do 1 hour webinar per month on particular topics. But if you need anything else, I think visit our social media networks, and also, or maybe just make an appointment to come and see our team here in CMA. We are always available to try to work in a collaborative method. And Magnifique, thank you for organizing this one. With those few remarks, I think we want to stick to time. It's 12 o'clock. I therefore regard this webinar as closed. I thank you.